Time to flip the script. We are Ramya and Nandan here to host you for an interesting conversation with Rhea and Ayush Melwani, the dynamic sibling duo making waves in the F&B industry. Rhea and Ayush are currently co-founders for Melvisk, a popular startup, RestoBar in Pondicherry, and Beyond Foods, one of the cloud kitchens based out of Gurgaon. Ayush and Rhea, welcome, and we would like to know about your journey and your experience that brought you here.
Thank you so much, Nandan.
Thank you so
Glad
much,
to be
Nanda.
doing this.
Yeah, so we actually started Melvis during lockdown in COVID. I remember me and a friend Gavin had gone to Dubai. We almost had like a job back in Dubai, and then we had to take the last flight back because of the lockdown. And then Gavin was with us back at home, and that's how we started Melvis. We were just bored at home. We started with initially just doing desserts and like making pizzas at home. So we thought like let's put out like an Instagram post, and that's how Melvis started as a project. We never really planned it, and that did well. Then we took a space outside and we ran it as a cloud kitchen for 2 years, and then we got an opportunity to take over a resto bar, and yeah, that's how Melvis started.
Nice. And when did Ria join on board?
I was. He forgot to mention that I was
She
part
was
of the process from day one. There was Gavin, me, and him. All
Okay.
three of us had done hotel management, and yeah, we were stuck at home for the first 1 2 months. We were doing nothing, and then we realized that a lot of like that's when home kitchens were sort of growing. A lot of people were putting out stuff and trying to sell from home because all of these restaurants were shut. And we started with just desserts. That's why it's called Mel Whisks. It was our name and just whisk. We didn't think it would go on to be a resto bar. So we started with desserts. Then I remember mom made something and we were like, hey, this is really yum. Why don't it happened to be a Friday? So then we put out a weekend special of whatever she was making. And it sort of took off. So that's something we kept doing. We started with desserts, then just weekends we did food. And then since Gavin was really good with pizzas, he became our pizza master. And so then we were known for pizzas at some point. So yeah, that's how we initially started. And then I remember we had rented out a kitchen in our apartment itself, as in my dad ran service apartments. So we taken another floor, and then after a couple of months, he was like, "Hey, you guys need to get out of here, like find your own space." So we moved into the neighbor, as in there was a neighboring building that was sort of empty. So we took up an apartment and we made that a cloud kitchen with our packaging station, our bakery section, our kitchen and stuff. And then from the kitchen, like I think about 6 months from the kitchen, we moved into the restaurant space.
That's pretty cool. So all of this happened in Pondicherry during COVID.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
In
This was
2020.
2020, I think April. 2 year about the first 3 4 months we were in our own building itself. Then we moved to another space for about 1.5 years, and then in 2022 we moved to the rest of the.
That's amazing. How were you able to market it and get like your first customers, especially with no established name at that time?
I think Ponty is a small place.
Hmm.
Everybody knows everybody. And the fact that we had grown up there, we'd spent 15, 20 years of our lives there. My parents had been there for like 30, 35 years. So it helped being a local for sure. You're on the WhatsApp groups, you know the who's and who's. So
Hmm.
that way, marketing wasn't really an issue. And my mom had gone for some of these master chef thingies. So my mom was always known for her skills, like amongst her friends circle and stuff, like her cooking skills. So yeah, I think we didn't do too much marketing. It was word of mouth that helped us get there. At the end, it comes down to what that dessert or what that pizza tastes like. So I think it would be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Like, so that really goes to show the importance of like word of mouth marketing and the fact that your mom actually had a personal brand herself that helped to like push it through.
Right.
And what were the challenges you actually faced from like being a home-based kitchen to making it a restaurant? Like it's a completely different industry. I think you serve alcohol, so the licensing must have been quite hectic. So how did you go about all of that?
So when we were a cloud kitchen, a lot of people said like we want to have your food like hot and fresh, right? And we want to, because delivery usually you have to solve a lot of challenges. The food gets soggy, it gets cold. The handling also at that point, Swiggy, Zomato were also pretty new. So we also were thinking like if we have a restaurant, it'll be so much better. And then we got this opportunity to take over Resto Bar. It was already a running Resto Bar, which wasn't doing well, and they were looking for someone to come in and take over operations. So we were like at this age, like to get a liquor license in Pondy obviously was very difficult. So we thought it's a great opportunity, and that was the most exciting part about it. Like we were at that point the youngest bar owners in Pondicherry.
Wow. Yeah.
So
No, I think it took real like guts at that point to be like, okay, let's take a chance on this and like be the youngest owners in Pondicherry. But no, that's great. And like you said your biggest challenge during the cloud kitchen time was like actually doing the delivery and ensuring quality of food.
It
What?
was mainly that like we were a lot dependent on aggregators. Although we had our own like we used to have our own delivery, but that was very difficult. You had to rely on these on staff, which is a huge issue. And then Swiggy Zomato eats away a lot of your commission.
Hmm.
Initially, like it's 30% plus, then you have to spend on ads and discounts. It boils down to you lose 40% on your bottom line. So with the dine-in, like you have so much more margin, and especially with liquor, that I realized once we got into the liquor space that there's like so much more margin in liquor compared to food. So that
That's true.
definitely was a
And at
game changer.
some point, we were doing deliveries ourselves. Like, I mean, peak of
Yeah.
COVID, we didn't even have staff coming in to do the dishes and stuff. So it was like properly like we had our roles, my dad, him, my mom, and me. It was quite the, yeah.
I think that's the thing with a startup. Like you need to
Yep.
be humble enough to do everything and can't be like, no, I'm just gonna sit and manage things.
Going back to your startup journey, and you've been to a school that is famous for bringing out the best out of startups. So I would like to know more about the masters in your journey that you have been through. And you already had a successful startup, and but you still thought that there's a need to be in a business school that gives you more business fundamentals, or like what was the main agenda for taking that step and going to masters union?
Right. So before we started Melvis, we were in different places. I had lived in Bangalore for 5 years. I was in Portugal for a while. He went to Dubai for 6 months. So we went to all of these places, and for some reason, I told myself I don't want to come back and live in Pondi. At the end of the day, it's a small town. So once we started Melvis, of course, like professionally, we were doing well, and like the ball was rolling. We could have definitely done a lot more with Melvis. But I always like even pre-COVID, I'd applied to Australia, I'd applied to Canada. I'd always wanted to get out and do my masters, so that was one thing that I was keen on. So at some point, while Melvis was running, I told myself, if not now, I'm never going to get out. I wanted the exposure. I always felt like I was missing out living in a small town as opposed to the big cities. And that's when I saw an ad for Masters Union. Didn't think I'd move to Gurgaon of all places. I was looking at an international opportunity, but this particular ad like felt like it was for both of us. It was one of these new age B schools that was looking at entrepreneurship, and it's a startup school at the end of the day. So for the sake of it, I think I just applied. I applied first. Obviously, it was understood that he was going to stay back and take care of the business, and like I go out and do my masters, and maybe like later on we switch or whatever. But then I applied. I was pretty impressed with the crowd. We were on a WhatsApp group, and I told Ayush, hey, listen, like I think this is an experience you need to, and like he's older also, so it's like if not now, when? And yeah, we went on to join MU and zero regrets. I think it's been amazing in terms of giving us when we started Melvis. I at least was winging things. I've never done this before, so taking baby steps, one thing at a time. But MU sort of gave us that structure on how to get started. It was sort of the method to the madness. Like they break down the basics for you and the kind of people you get to meet, or like the doors that they open for you. Amazing.
So on those lines, if you had to enlist three key takeaways that you had at your B school journey, because unlike a traditional B school, masters, something different that you experienced. So the three key takeaways that you would take away, like would be you are applying right now at Melvis or beyond fields.
Um,
So Masters Union, we have outclass challenges every term. So in the very first term, you have to start your own dropshipping business. So
Do you
every
wanna
term,
do you wanna explain what drop shipping is? Just like one sentence.
yeah. So dropshipping is basically selling stuff online without actually holding inventory. So you just take care of like you find a supplier of a particular product, you just market it, and you get it shipped to the customer directly. So
Got it. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
so we that was our challenge in term one, and basically everything was very hands on. So once you actually do something, that's when the learning happens, right? So that's why Masters Union has this thing: learn by doing. That's their slogan, and I think that's definitely one key takeaway, that you have to get your hands dirty to understand business and get into the intricacies of things.
I remember as part of our final project, not a project, it's our outclass, it's called VIP, which is Venture Initiation Program. We had to pitch to investors, and these were like real time investors from the VC scene in Gurgaon, in Delhi, NCR. So an experience like that, I don't know where else you'd get. Like so, pitching to investors means getting everything on that deck right, thinking it through. There's one thing when you're building for the customer, but there's the whole other perspective that you get when you're looking at the finance and like how much money to raise and stuff. So I think it gives you that 360-degree learning that you need when you're thinking of a big business or a business that you want to scale.
Well, that's a very interesting point.
Yeah,
Like building for the customers, one thing, and then
building for the
when you're
market.
looking for funding, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like so you did Beyond Foods after your MBA. What
Beyond
got
Foods was part of our VIP project
okay.
itself. So we're a team of four co-founders: me,
Mm,
Rhea, Alex, and Naveen. So
mm,
Alex is a friend from Pondi as well. Uh, he was working in the Netherlands. He was also working with a large cloud kitchen company. Uh, and Naveen used to work with Zomato. So yeah, the four of us came together, and we actually started off with a different business idea. We're working on a platform, a space booking platform for underutilized, like something like an Airbnb, but for
mm,
not living spaces, other spaces like you want to rent your terrace or your garden space or like
mm.
on hourly basis, basically. But that didn't really pan out the way we planned, and we understood that we didn't have the founder market fit for that. It was highly on tech, and then eventually we decided like all of us are very passionate about food, and we've been in the space, we worked in the space, and we fit different parts of the puzzle, right? Alex is the kitchen guy, I'm the ops guy, Ria is the design creative marketing person, and Naveen was the aggregator side of things. He understood how Zomato works. So that's how we decided, okay, let's do something we're all uh, good at.
So that's very interesting. So you said we always hear about product market fit, but founder market fit is also something that people need to consider. I guess you need to be passionate about something to
Yeah.
actually make it work. And what is like your vision for Beyond Food? And what exactly, firstly, just break it down. Like, what is a cloud kitchen? What do you guys do in Beyond Food? And what do you hope for it to be?
Yeah. So Beyond Foods, initially, like the plan was to do multiple cloud kitchens. So cloud kitchen is basically a delivery only kitchen which sells food online through aggregators like Swiggy, Zomato. So there's delivery or takeaway only, and there's no dine-in. Uh, so initially, like since we were testing out like our food, and we wanted to start off in the most conservative way, as in not burn a lot of cash. So cloud kitchen would be a good way to test our product, understand the like get product market fit, and then eventually, if that does well, then obviously I'm always excited about the dine-in space more. I've seen both sides of it.
Yeah.
The dine-in space excites me more because better margins, plus you get to meet the customer in person, you get to give them an experience. In delivery, there's not much you can do. It's more of the packaging and other things, but dine-in definitely excites me more. But I think the best way to get started was that. So our first brand is Lexi's Gourmet Sandwiches, which we'll be launching in the next 2 weeks. We've been doing a lot of food trials. In fact, the past 2 months is all about trials, just getting the product right. We were very particular about getting that right. Initially we did a lot of research onto which category to choose. Like obviously, which like we shortlisted to pastas, like healthy food like salads, and then sandwiches. But we chose sandwiches,
Right?
and
Because data had it that the demand supply gap was a lot. Plus, when you think burgers, there's a bunch of homegrown options, good flipping, Louis, and there's a bunch of
Yep.
options. But
Yeah.
although everybody does sandwiches, there's not one brand that comes to your mind. Of course, there is Subway, which is not a homegrown
Potatoes,
brand.
yeah.
There is a white space over there. Also, just to break down what Ayush said, the vision is to be a big food brand. Now that could be the vision is to be a big food business, and that could be five different brands or one brand all over India. But that is something we're constantly working on. I would say we know we want to make it big. We know we have found a market fit for the food industry, but the vision is also a work in progress because until yesterday we thought of something, and then once we have our first kitchen, we're thinking, okay, no, we'll do it like this. So we don't know the path to get there, but we know that's eventually where we want to get.
Agreed.
I think you've
yeah,
brought out, yeah, go ahead.
no, no.
No, I think you brought out very well as well. Like founders, you can be so passionate about your idea, but you must know when to pivot and you must know when to keep changing your product to ensure that it actually grows. That was very interesting. And like Ayush, you mentioned something that the margins are lesser in a cloud kitchen as opposed to a restaurant. How do you say that? Like, because if I think about it, in restaurants, you have a lot more staff, you have to rent like a place, plus like general operations also takes like a lot of cost. So can you explain how that math worked for you guys?
So primarily, like why the cloud kitchen model? I feel like because a lot of your margin goes away in Swiggy, Zomato commissions. That's close to
Mm-hmm.
40%. So you're left with only 60% to cover your packaging, to cover your staff, rent, and everything else. With dine-in, you have room for more, and after a point, like a customer prefers to pay more when he's dining in because there's an experience and other things attached to it. But when you're ordering online, there's only a certain cap to which you can how much ever better you make the packaging also, like people are not
Yeah,
going to spend so much.
that's true.
Yeah.
So
So
got it.
also
So
the
let's
vision.
find. So Once, so for like the entire cloud kitchen, you've rented out a space like a kitchen, and you're gonna have just the sandwich brand right now, or you've got multiple brands in the same space currently.
So the current focus is to just work on Lexis. That's our first brand. We want to just focus on that currently, and then eventually, yes, we do plan to do multiple other brands as well. But that may change. Like every like 3 months back, we had like a different idea. Now things are changing. But for now, the focus we like. There's no point of having such long-term targets. Also, we feel because things keep changing along, and there are a lot of other factors. So every 3 months, we have like short-term targets, and we're working towards that.
And how do you plan to market the cloud kitchen? Like, I mean, I guess now you're in a new city, word of mouth might be harder. So, how would you plan to market this and like get it off the ground?
Yep.
So one thing we realized, of course, we will market ourselves on aggregators, Zomato, Swiggy. I mean, when someone's looking to order food, we'd like to be on top. But apart from that, we realized that our content game needs to be strong. And by
Hmm.
that, I don't just mean sandwiches and our menu and trending reels, but also building our founder story. Like building, like how people keep posting content on how they're building publicly right
Hmm.
now. So that is something, since the four of us also live together and work together, there is a lot of organic content that we can create and put out there for people to see and sort of resonate with us, and say, hey, these guys are building something, we'd like to follow their journey. So that's something we're working on currently. That's something we in fact never thought of or did for Melvis. In fact, till today, if you happen to go to the Melvis Insta, there are not too many posts that talk about a sibling duo doing this. And we feel like that could have changed the game, although it had its own path. But that is something we're doing different with Beyond Foods, I think.
Okay, that's great.
That's a very
And
interesting
you,
perspective towards towards marketing, because not many people would follow that way. Yeah.
yeah, and you mentioned sibling duo, so I mean that's
Yeah.
quite interesting.
So on those lines, having a co-founder is so important. I've been always told by my seniors, by my ex mentors, that you should not have a lot of yes men around you. So that's why I feel how the sibling partnership has been, how has it evolved in the past coming years, and what do you think is the biggest advantage of having a family member by your side in
And
business?
did you think when you were 5 years and 7 years old that you guys would be doing this together?
Absolutely not. Do
Yeah.
you want to take that?
Yeah. In fact, initially, like when we started Melvis, like COVID was when we came. Like we were living away from each other for a long time. Like she was in back in Portugal. Then before that, she was in Bangalore. I was working at Kochi and Dubai, and so COVID actually was after a long time we was staying together, and that's how we started this. So and the dynamic between us is both of us had like our departments. Like she's more of the creative person, she takes care of marketing and all of that. I take care of ops and sales and other things, so we have our roles defined. So obviously there are disagreements and all that happens, but so far it's been
How do
You
you
pointed out a very
how do you
important
sort
thing.
out?
more than good
Yeah,
for
how do you
point of
sort
view.
out the disagreements? Because it's very important to solve issues
With
between
family,
founders.
it's a different.
In fact, I think it's easier with family. You can say what you feel like, yell at them, and go to sleep, and the next day everything's normal. Because with other people, you probably hold back, but especially with siblings, like,
That's
I
fair.
mean, a few curses here and there, and I think we're good.
I'm sure Ayush
No.
must be spending a lot on your birthdays, Riaz.
Yeah, this was a birthday gift.
Oh
It
wow.
And
Wow.
was a
coming to
birthday
this
last week.
Oh, happy belated
belated birthday,
birthday
yeah.
wishes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We
But
actually won the birthday together, so double the
oh,
mark.
you should ask for two gifts then.
Yeah.
No,
uh,
but then like yeah, and but you I mean, but now you're working with other people, so
Yeah, we're working with other people, and I feel like it is very important to have co-founders. To be honest, I have never worked in a corporate setting. I've never really worked under a boss. I don't know what it feels like to work for someone. So I think whatever learning happens through your co-founders, and I'm really glad that we're four of us now. So many more hands on the table, and different. Although we've been in the food industry, very different exposure that all four of us have had, and it's been what 3-4 months, but we've got a good thing going, good dynamic, and I think everyone's straightforward about what they feel, what they think. Of course, four people means four different perspectives on every little thing, whether it's a small packaging
yeah.
change or some design or something. But I think nothing that
you
honest
know,
communication
a
can't
very
fix.
valid point that I mentioned, the importance of having co-founders. Now that you've done two startups, and they're on the verge of becoming, I wish they become unicorns very soon. But what is the importance or the criteria to select a co-founder? Because it's an important part of your business journey and personal journey as well. Having right people next to you is so important in a business. So your advice on selecting your co-founders for a business?
As in, you obviously, one thing is that you should have complementary skill sets, and you should be able to have an honest conversation and resolve any disputes. And that is that. We had a lot of experience when we did our outclass challenges, like so the drop shipping, we were working in different teams. And then, like me and Ray always were in different teams. We decided, like, let's work with other people and understand how that is. But towards the end of the term, we like the final project, like, we have to work together. We were done with that.
Yeah, because when you come in, like when you're new over here, you're like, okay, let's socialize, find new people. Then you realize that nah, can happen. Like you, if you can't tell them honestly how you feel, or someone's slacking, like you need to be able to say it without taking it to heart, and that kind of communication is not easy to build. Like it takes time to get there. So we just sort of came back to each other saying like we'll do this together.
Are the other two co-founders your friends? Would you suggest like people should team up with their friends, or they should, find new people and check them out and then?
I don't know about how it's worked for other people, but honestly, for me, I think nothing like working with your friends. Even our third co-founder is our childhood friend who's sort of been with us, Pondy days and stuff. So that's also a good equation. And we met Naveen here at MU, but he was also a friend before he became a co-founder. And there was at no point was there an official, okay, we're going to be co-founders. It just sort of happened. That
Yeah.
dynamic happened as we were working together. We just knew it. Nobody really said, okay, this is how it's going to be, co-partners. So only when we were probably signing our Beyond Foods contract that we realized, shit, this is happening. But
Yeah.
there was no steps, so there was no checklist that I really had.
No, no, that's fair. That's nice. So I mean, like, I think the good thing about doing it with your friends is that you actually get to, like, you break the ice already, and you're sort of already there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm saying you have mirrors for yourself in the same room. You don't have to go outside for answers, or when you commit mistakes individually, you have the person to correct you right there. So it's easier to have the correct answers and course corrections at the right time. So it's a wonderful thing to have friends, as
Co-founders.
the reason me and Ramya have started this.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no. But no, but that's great. So I mean, like your journey has definitely been interesting. You had the opportunity to work with founders, you had the opportunity to work with each other, and you've worked on like a cloud kitchen model as well as a restaurant model. Now, for our listeners, can you give us like the three challenges of the cloud kitchen, three challenges of restaurants, and three opportunities of both as well? And which, what is your suggestion, like without bias of what you prefer, like what would you suggest to somebody trying to start something?
The biggest challenge in the hospitality industry in general is staffing and hiring. Like getting the right staff is always a problem. Attrition rates are really high. Luckily, we've been lucky with Melvis at least. We've had the same staff throughout. Obviously, for one or two roles, which were constant issues, every 2 3 months we have to get a new manager. Especially when we left to Gurgaon for our MBA, we had to get someone an additional manager. Obviously, we had a manager, but we needed someone to also replace certain roles which we were taking care of in Melvis. We were very hands on when we were back in Pondy, and
Hmm.
we needed someone to be the face. So finding that person was very challenging, especially in Pondy, in a smaller town.
But she's asking for three challenges cloud kitchen, three challenges restaurant, and opportunities. So
Okay.
We have the
that's
mirror. We have the mirror.
You have the mirror.
Well, just see, cloud kitchen number one would be food. Nothing like fresh, hot food served on your plate,
Agreed.
right? I
Yep.
mean, 30 minutes later, it's a whole other game. So that for sure is one of the challenges. I think hiring for cloud kitchens as well. Like people would rather join a restaurant where they also make a little more in terms of service tips and that sort of
Sure,
stuff.
sure, yeah.
Them interacting with the customer is also exciting. You don't want to spend a whole 12 hours in the kitchen just slogging. So I think hiring for cloud kitchen is a challenge as well. Number three would be
Challenge for the
the
commissions,
commissions.
obviously.
Yes.
The
Of
yeah,
course,
heavily
yeah.
dependent on
Cost of
aggregate.
doing business would be higher.
Also, I don't see this as a challenge, but do you also have your own delivery system? Is it only Zomato, Swiggy, or you've also employed your own delivery partners?
For Melvis, we did because Pondy was a small place, and initially we were only doing direct. We were not
Okay,
listed on Swiggy Zomato. We had our, and we were able to manage because it's a small town. But in a bigger city like Gurgaon, that like now obviously you have Porter and
agreed.
Uber package and Dunzo and all of that. But still, the delivery costs are very high. You cannot beat Swiggy Zomato when it comes to the logistics because they have like a whole fleet, and
Mhm.
also you can't rely on these people like how well they'll transport your food. There are a lot of
Yep.
Yeah.
cancellations.
And even in terms of a customer, I mean, it's just easier to go on the app and look through and get
That's
all these
true.
discounts.
At least you have the options and all of that.
In a different portal, very rarely do we ourselves do that. So
That's fair. That's true.
Even
And like,
if it's cheaper on the direct app, people prefer. They're so accustomed to using Swiggy, Zomato, they just open the app and like.
Definitely. Yep.
So
I think it's a case of like familiarity, and then you trust the app to deliver it whether they do or not. And like, what about like opportunities for people who want to get in? Like, would you suggest they look at a cloud kitchen model or a restaurant? And what do they need to think of?
I think right now why we are doing cloud kitchens ourselves is because it's the lowest hanging fruit in terms of expense, right? Like it's
Mhm.
with less capital, you can test an idea, see if that's something good now is liking. That's what we're doing. We're hoping to get traction for our sandwiches. As soon as we know, okay, wow, this is working, then we later switch to a QSR or whatever we have planned. But we'd also like to reach the customer sooner. We'd like for the customer to come in and eat a sandwich hot and fresh. So a cloud kitchen is always easier to start, given
Until you find your product
product
market
market
fit.
fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you suggest people use like people like would they if they get a chef early on board to help them with the menu and stuff? Like, how would you suggest someone does that?
So
100%.
initially we were doing trials ourselves with Alex itself for 1 2 months, and then we realized that like the our sandwiches are maybe a 7 or 10, but like Gurgaon is a highly competitive market, and like there are the best brands out here, and like so much innovation, and it's like really cutthroat competition. So we need to really be 10 on 10 to even like launch. So then
Mm.
we hired a consultant who's now helping us to develop the menu and take it to the next level.
Mm.
So if you don't have experience with food, and like your product needs to be killer if you want to
Point.
survive, because it's really the
Crowded
competition.
market.
Yep.
Yeah.
as as opposed to how we started in Fondi. Right now, we've done 3 months of trial in Gurgaon before launching. I think the first thing my mom made, we sold when it's in Fondi. Like even our first time we put out some chocolate cake on the menu, we made it. We weren't a fan of it, but we still sold it and it did well. So I think it's also we've learned that or how different Fondi market versus Gurgaon market is, and also the fact that we started in Fondi like 4 years back versus the options you have in Gurgaon now in 2024. So
I mean, that's great. So apart from passion, like yes, passion drove you to this market, but why did you choose the F&B space? Are you seeing certain trends? Are you seeing some excitement? Like, what is the market saying about this industry and the potential for this industry in the next few years?
Food is always an evergreen industry. Like both of us love food. We all like. In fact, the last 1 year when we are doing our MBA, I would order on Swiggy, Zomato almost every day, trying like new places. So I love food and like love trying new food. So that was
we can
definitely
see it.
It's fine.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
burning it out. He's burning it out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
So,
both of us also did hotel management. So this was a route that we saw ourselves being an F&B service, and that's what I specialized in. He was also an F&B. So we, looking back now, all the dots connect. I actually took hotel management by chance. He says I took it because he was doing it and he was sort of my role model. I don't know. But but looking back, it made sense that we worked in hospitality. We studied, then we worked in hospitality, opened our RestoBars, and now we're at a food company. But
And our parents are also in hospitality. They run an Airbnb back in Pondi. So looking back, yeah, it weaves for a nice story for sure. And
yeah.
like you're asking about the trends. So in fact, in Gurgaon, a lot of like there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up. For example, like we've been tracking a lot of these new sandwich brands like Pete's Deli and Cactus Deli. I'm not sure, like obviously you guys mustn't. It's like a very new brand in like Delhi NCR. So they're doing interesting events like a sandwich takeover. Like they're taking like usually what liquor brands would do, now food brands are also doing that, and mixing music and like making an experience out of it.
a sandwich rave. That's what we went
Oh
to.
wow.
That's
Okay.
an interesting concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah. Also, another insight that we learned recently is that although all of us are so used to ordering on Zomato and Swiggy, you'd think everybody does, but you'd be surprised to realize only 4% of India right now orders online, uses Zomato or Swiggy, and this number in less than 5 years is going to be 20%. So that's also a wave we're riding on. In terms of if we're sticking to cloud kitchens and delivery brands, that number excites us for sure to know that this is just going to grow 4x, 5x.
Yeah, a
This
lot of
this
people are like cooking less and like ordering more out, so that's a lot. In fact, there are houses now which don't even have kitchens. They just like people don't even want a kitchen
Yeah,
anymore.
it's like a mini
sounds
pandemic.
like my sounds like a house I'd live in.
Yeah, because they're double income parents or adults, not parents, sorry, adults, double income adults, and they're at work the whole day. So you come back and then you just swiggy something and you're good to go.
I think that disposable income now is going towards that
Yeah.
because it gives you the luxury of time and many other things that you don't actually get. And like, are you would you ever think of like going to the tier two cities? Like, I'm sure this 4 to 20% increase comes slightly from adoption from tier two, tier three cities even. Would you ever consider going there in the future?
100%. I once we gain market share in Delhi, NCR, Mumbai, and the big cities, Bangalore as well, then we'll definitely go. Because we've also been there. We've
Yeah.
done that in a smaller city, so we know that there is scope.
Opportunity.
That learning from making a business run in a smaller city is going to help you tremendously when you come to the tier two, tier three city, the target market, where the choices are less, but everything depends on the quality of food that you put out to your
Yeah.
customers. It's
Yeah.
Right.
it's a
And
very
how do
interesting space.
absolutely. And I think like one of the biggest challenges I would see is like when I'm just surfing on like Swiggy or Zomato, there are like 100 choices. So how would you ensure like your marketing is on point so people pick you? Like, are you looking at good pictures? How would you want to stand out on like Swiggy and Zomato? What would
Yep.
you suggest?
Definitely, when it comes to, since we're a delivery only brand, we've made sure our packaging is classy, and that's all they're going to see of you. Other than eating your food,
Hmm.
it's that little butter paper, that packet it comes in. So we made sure all of that is right, and yeah, we'll get a sexy photo shoot when we're ready to launch. And in terms of showing up on Zomato and Swiggy, we have our co-founder Naveen, who worked at Zomato for 6 years. So he knows the drill. He knows how to get us there. It might be running some ads, some CPC campaigns, but I feel like he's got us covered. We
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's good.
that will sort it for sure.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And
That's good
obviously,
to hear.
the experience, we're trying to see how we can improve the delivery experience. What can we maybe send along with our food to like delight the customer? And we were brainstorming on ideas. We definitely have a few things. And
Yeah, and I think definitely for them to even like after delivery is one thing, but then like even for them to pick you, I think Naveen's like
yeah,
expertise in CPC and stuff will
Like the entire
definitely.
distribution space, you have a master in it. Probably you've got a person who has worked in the distribution space. So I'm sure it's going to be a rock solid
Yeah,
food
we also
restaurant in
have
2 years.
we also have the Masters Union network,
Yep.
which is a lot of people in different courses. So we have access to the founder of Masters Union, who's Pratham Mittal, amazing guy in terms of the kind of resources or anybody's dough, any number we want, he's happy to share. In fact, he's also helped us. Masters Union has sort of incubated us, and they're helping us grow our business monetarily. They're supporting us, so that way we have a really good network of mentors and college itself. That will get us our initial traction for sure.
It's amazing to see a B school do such things and incubate a startup in our country because it's a land of opportunities right now. And coming to my basic idea, that where you have been through a long journey, it has been it has been a long journey right from your undergrad to like you guys staying together during COVID and then getting this idea of making the startup. What are the basic challenges or the major setbacks you faced during this entire journey of starting Melvis and Beyond Foods? And what you could every journey has lessons to be important. So, what are the
like
key
what are those industry
industry
secrets as
lessons that
such
you would give us?
that people you might actually have, but other people who are just no F&B background but want to start a restaurant, like they come in, what would you tell them as like some like a tip?
as in the food, the F&B business is definitely a very difficult business to be in. Like the success ratio is very less. Only 1 out of 10 ventures
Yeah.
actually succeed. So if you're really, unless you're really passionate about this space and you have some prior experience, I would recommend not entering the space because it's a really difficult space to be in.
We, I mean, I don't know if initially when we started, COVID itself was a huge setback because we were on our way to becoming different things in different cities on that hospitality journey. And COVID felt like a setback, but then little did we know that this is what anchored us into entrepreneurship. So that's something as well. And something I've learned from entrepreneurship in general is that the effort that you put in, like you need to put in this effort for a while before you can see rewards. It's not like a job where you work hard and then you get paid. You'll put in the effort for the first 6 months, and money comes in only like after
Yep.
a year. So that effort to reward time phase, that uncertainty gets to you from time to time, but you just have to push through, I guess.
What do you do to like deal with that uncertainty? Like how do you calm yourself down or like have faith in the idea?
Yeah, I mean, I ain't no guru. I'm sure I have my days where it gets to you. I mean, we're all human. It gets to you. I feel like if you have your head in the right place, if you have the right intentions for your business, and you're doing the work, you will take off today or tomorrow.
No, that's a really good note, and I think that was a great conversation where you told us about like all the challenges you guys faced, and I mean everybody looks at the rosy side of entrepreneurship and don't and but it's actually so much sweat and tears that goes behind it,
Yeah.
and from choosing your founder to actually figuring out product market fit, founder market fit, and everything else that comes along with it. But I think today was like a great session. Thank you so
Definitely.
much for being on Flip the Script and like speaking to everybody about the F&B industry.
do look out for Lexi's. And also, one small thing that for the viewers, because I feel like we didn't mention it, there's another venture that we run in Pondi by the name Casa Mel. It's a boutique stay. And so, if any of, I mean, this is for the viewers. If you're going to Pondi, do hit us up and like book your stay, because check that out. I felt like an abandoned kid we didn't talk about, but that we spent a whole year on, building that brand as well.
Yeah, no, I'm sure people would love that experience in Pondicherry,
Definitely,
and
yeah.
of course with Melvis as well,
The
the
next
entire
time I'm in
package.
Pondicherry, I'm definitely going to Casa Mel.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you for having us the first time.